Well, Franny, let's talk about Saints. It's been a positive summer already, I think. Let's start with the arrival of European football, obviously securing that at the end of year, thanks to Arsenal. Just your thoughts on that, firstly.
Fantastic. I mean, what an incredible season it was last year, and there's very much eyes on the FA Cup final and the outcome of that as to where our future would lie with European football. And Arsenal winning like they did in a convincing style, it obviously qualified us for the Europa League. So yeah, it's going to be a campaign that's certainly different. It'll bring lots of challenges in different ways with the European competition as well, but something that I think the club and the supporters will embrace and look forward to with a lot of positivity, I think.
I mean, as you said, it is a challenging schedule. It will be a challenging schedule, but all the noises coming out of the club seems to be that it's going to be a challenge that everybody's going to embrace. Do you find that quite refreshing in a way?
Most definitely. I mean, there's the obvious concerns that the strain that competing in Europe will put upon the club and the squad, but I think everything that we've been doing for years now has been embraced and been seen as a challenge, and whether that's domestically or on or off the pitch, and now European football, I think that the club have embraced that and been positive about it, and I think that's probably the best way to go and approach it. And we'll see where that journey takes us, but if you're positive about something and embrace it, then I think you're more likely to succeed at something.
And obviously the draws for the first couple of qualifying rounds took place earlier this week. Did that start to whet the appetite to see where Saints are going to be sent in the third qualifier?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think the summer, which seems a short summer anyway, I'm sure, especially for the players and management when they need that break to recharge after a long hard campaign. When you're looking at the diary and the date for coming back in is probably a lot earlier now that we're sort of playing European football before the Premier League. They'll be the clock is ticking, but I'm sure they're excited to be coming back, and I certainly am now as a supporter to sort of be cheering the guys on. I can't wait for the games to get underway.
Obviously, towards the tail end of your career was the last time Saints were in Europe. Do you have any particular memories of that trip to Steaua Bucharest?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a short-lived journey, that European adventure, but I'm confident that the current squad will go a lot further than what was achieved back then.
Other developments in the summer, obviously we're looking at transfers, aren't we? Already 3 players in. It's a considerably different summer already to last year.
Yeah, almost the flip side. Players coming in as opposed to players leaving. But I think that's again business that the club have gone about in their usual manner, and business that's been needed and required. I'm sure the management and the hierarchy would have sat down and looked at the possibility of qualifying for the Europa League and what, if that did happen, would have needed to have been done from a playing perspective in the squad. And it seems like they've gone about that business in a pretty swift manner, in strengthening the squad. And there's still some business to be done, I'm sure, with 1 or 2 players of the current squad, but also bringing in some new faces as well. And I think that's healthy for the dressing room. Bringing in competition for places is great. As a player, I knew myself, somebody coming through the dressing room, it freshened things up, and it kept current players in the team on their toes as well.
What sort of a message do you think it sends to the fans and to other teams to see Southampton doing what they've done in terms of bringing in these players so early?
I think it is a big statement. It's the club financially is on a sound footing now as well, and when we're able to bring players in of a calibre and a quality that will strengthen and improve what we've already had here. So it'll complement the squad that we had. It was a fantastic season last year, but to progress you need to sort of move forward and never stand still and aim for higher things, and I think that's certainly what the football club seem to be doing.
And a Spanish international, a Portuguese international, a Dutch international who's played in a World Cup final. These are little markers really of how far the club's moving.
Yeah, most definitely, and that's got to be mixed with the homegrown talent that we do produce. I think getting that balance right of players and international players that are from further ashore need to be sort of mixed and blended with the current crop of players that we have coming through at the club. It's always been a strength of Southampton Football Club to get that combination and balance right, but I think now the club are taking that to another level and being more competitive in the Premier League and hopefully in Europe as a result now.
And as you mentioned before, players now starting to come back for pre-season training earlier than in recent years, certainly. Do you have any memories of those first couple of weeks of pre-season training? It was always a test, I'm sure.
I think you ask any ex-pro, they'll have memories of a pre-season for sure, and not necessarily good ones, but mine often began by starting before the pre-season started. You know, it would be either doing some training on holiday or certainly a few weeks before we came back for the start of pre-season, just to have a head start fitness-wise and hopefully sort of be getting in the manager's face as a contender for a starting place in the team. So yeah, lots of memories. There's some painful memories as well from some pre-season, none more so than the last one under Gordon Strachan when we went to Scotland. But you know, that was a fantastic trip. It was probably the strongest and fittest I can remember a playing squad being throughout my career at the club, and that turned out to be one of the most successful that we had whilst I was playing. So yeah, fingers crossed the boys will come back fit, raring to go, and have a great season.
And speaking of fitness, obviously it's been seen on Twitter that you're already looking for your next challenge after your big run last season. Is there any plans or anything you can share with us in terms of what you're looking at?
Not at the moment, I'm afraid. There's lots of ideas rattling around my head, and I've asked for a few suggestions from people on Twitter as well, and there were some humorous and interesting and quite, you know, sort of downright dangerous suggestions on there as well. But you know, you'll be the first to know, I'm sure, once I make that decision.